Hello, welcome, thanks for joining me. Day 15 of Noah's bike build. Simulator work, test day 1. Today was all about starting to get some meat on the bones of the project that is the motorbike race simulator. From now on in, I'll just call it the sim or the simulator. Okie dokie. As I've said previous, I don't really know where this is going, this project. I am making it up as I go along. So lots of test days. I'm not going to just throw money at the project. I'm going to test theories, ideas, and just see what evolves, because I get a lot of satisfaction out of creating something from what I already have, or with small price purchases. So just covering the basic principles of this. The bike would have a very young rider on it, so the bike needed to be self-supporting with the ability to lean left and right and then return to the vertical. This left and right movement only amount to about 1 inch on the footrest if we were to measure from the footrest to the floor. So 1 inch lean to the left, 1 inch lean to the right. How do I arrive at this? Well, it's going to be a way of controlling an iPad game, a MotoGP style race sim, where you're all going the same way. You're going fast and you're trying to get round corners, and if you can pass people along the way, you're going to win the race. So that's this in principle. Let's have a look at day 1 of the test rig. Here we see the bike in a first version of a test bed to allow the bike to lean left and right approximately 1 inch from the floor to each footrest at full lean. 1 inch movement. What do we see here? Well, we see a pneumatic cylinder with a 12-inch stroke mounted approximately 2/3 of the stroke extended. This is just an arbitrary figure. There is a line on the piston rod mid-stroke, and that was the line I planned to use to set up this version of the lean angle gadget. What's that stuck out of the ports at the top and bottom of the pneumatic cylinder? It's just some screwed rod shutting the port off. Early tests on this particular cylinder, which I purchased for another project, and that's yet to be built. Early tests showed that blanking top and bottom ports allowed a slight bit of compression within the cylinder, and then resistance, and that resistance even returned the piston rod back to its starting position when you release the pressure on the end of the piston rod. Here we see the pneumatic cylinder, 2 ports and 2 fixings, a piston rod, which easily goes in and out until you put your finger over the end of one of the ports. As soon as you put your finger over the end of the port, it's almost impossible to extend the piston rod. Take your finger off the port, let's try that again. So what we're seeing, when you have your finger over the port, the rod moves out but then comes back in. So there's an element of compression of the air trapped within the cylinder. And I thought I could use this to my advantage, to tilt the bike and have this compression of air resisting the movement. So, finger off the port, piston extending, finger over the port. I'm now going to try and push the piston rod in, and we see that. Let's zoom in at that point. So we're looking for the dirt mark just here. Putting my finger over the port again, pushing on the end of the rod, and we'll see that that mark shows that the piston rod is bouncing within the cylinder, and either port has the same effect. So putting my finger over this part, it's a different position of the stroke, but it still has that same effect. So that was the pneumatic compression that I wanted to utilise to control the lean of the bike. This set me thinking. I wondered if it was strong enough to allow the bike to be pushed to the vertical. So if you were to lean the bike and compress the piston, would it bring it back to upright? It doesn't look like it's going to achieve that. This particular bike with its fat tyres easily stands upright. It doesn't take much support to keep it in the upright position, and that leads me to believe that if I develop something along these lines, I'll eventually achieve my objective. So let's have a little look at me compressing the cylinder by trying to lean the bike left and then right. Bearing in mind that we're only trying to drop the footrest by 1 inch of height to get the necessary lean angle that would move the iPad when attached to the front of the bike. The iPad would lean, and that would allow the character in the game, a Moto G type racer, to lean and get round a corner. Let's see the bike lean left and right, and let's see what happens to the pneumatic cylinder. That's left, and what we notice is first thing that touched down was the sprocket. Now on the working version of this simulator, this sprocket won't be fitted. There's no point in having any hazards. Then moving it to the right. And what we've got is the exhaust system touching down on this wooden framework, and then back to the centre. I'll move the camera for another angle so we can appreciate what's happening. This is all exploration. So it's early days in development, lots of tests to carry out, no rush on this part of the project. Thanks for joining me. Join me again soon.